Welcome back to the C Collective podcast, episode 2. This is part 2 of the conversation I had with Jonah, and it doesn't really need too much of an intro. I'll just let it rip like a Beyblade. Here it is.
Quite good. It makes me feel like I always thought of I suppose you have got a beard. I always thought of like the podcast as being like,
I like how you said that before even explaining it to me. It's like, well, I always thought that, well, I suppose you have got a beard.
like I had this view of like podcasts being like men with beards kind of like chatting.
Well, I think my 3 podcasts I listen to at the moment all are hosted by men with beards. So
men with beards.
Bearded men. Oh, that was pretty good. You got him in the air.
It's weird how the kind of the different paths entertainment takes, because I guess like podcasts are almost like one of the main, and it's like essentially just people chatting.
Yeah. Oh, but I think it's like, you know, it's interesting to hear.
Yeah, it is.
People chat and
but in conversation.
Also, it's quite relaxed, isn't it? It's like, oh, chuck a little podcast on before bed.
Yeah.
Or, you know, in the background whilst you're doing a bit of cooking.
I can imagine. Yeah, there'd be something really relaxing about just hearing people just talk about interesting things whilst you're trying to go about your business.
Soothing you. So what are your top 5 record store day picks for tomorrow?
Well, of course, there's number 1 is David Sylvian, without a doubt.
What's the name of the album?
It's Dead Bees on a Cake.
Dead Bees on a Cake, David Sylvian. Number 1.
It's weird because I don't know where this like whole bees thing comes from with him, but he's got another album called Secrets of the Beehive.
He's just a big fan. Is he a beekeeper? Does he keep bees?
He does not.
My friend's mum keeps bees, yeah.
Secrets of the Beehive is like an amazing out. It's a 10 out. It's a classic.
It's a 10 out of 10?
It is, yeah.
That is high praise indeed.
If there's one thing you do as a result, either of listening to this podcast or talking to me in this room right now.
In the flesh.
Yeah, listen to Secrets of the Beehive.
I will do. I'll put that on the... Got a playlist of... I like to listen to a bit of new music every day if I can. So I've got this little playlist of albums to check out. So I'll put it on there right away. What's number 2?
Oh yeah, of the number 2. Well, they're reissuing a load of the albums that Bert Jansch made when he was in America, or like influenced by his time in America.
I'm not familiar with them.
He's one of those 60s folk guitarists.
Oh yeah,
He's a really excellent guitarist.
Similar sort of scene to your man Basho.
Robbie, the English equivalent. Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Same sort of style.
Kind of that kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I like. Yeah, it's like folk, but proper folk.
Yeah.
Not like
Mumford & Sons.
Like a man in a sort of like high-necked cardigan.
Number 3?
Number 3. There's like another folk thing. My favourite album is by this singer called Anne Briggs, but she's only kind of like got one commercially available album.
On streaming platforms.
Yeah, and stuff. I think so.
The rest of them just on YouTube.
So they've released another one, and I think it's one of the things that she recorded. I think it's like solely vocal stuff, like it's traditional.
Oh, just a cappella.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah,
I was thinking when I was listening to that. Not that it's folk, but when I was ploughing my way through that Trout Mask Replica, I thought some of the more listenable tracks were actually the a cappella tracks, just because there wasn't all these crazy polyrhythms in the background just freaking you out.
Yeah, I like the idea of kind of like stripping down songwriting.
To
the bones, you know?
To the bones.
Yeah.
Well, that is pretty much as stripped as you can be, isn't it? With It's almost, is it like reverting it to sort of hymns and that, isn't it?
Yeah. It's true,
which is quite cool. I quite like that.
Yeah, but I guess that's almost kind of the purest form of folk music.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because if you don't even have to have an instrument. Just, you know.
What's number 4?
This is pretty embarrassing, I guess, but like, because I always thought of myself as a punk more than a. Well, like, and like the main thing about punk is that it kind of like put an end to prog, you know.
Yeah.
And I realised that
there's nothing wrong. There's some prog that's good.
Yeah,
you could say Zappa's. A lot of Zappa stuff is probably prog, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been moving to that area where I've been listening to the occasional bit of prog without really realising it.
Accidental prog.
I've had to kind of reassess.
You're not a Rush fan now, are you?
No way.
Yeah, good.
I've had to reassess who I am. Anyway, they're reissuing this single by Jethro Tull.
Oh yeah,
It's called Moths, and they're a really hit and miss
I saw
band.
that. Was that 7-inch or is it?
I think it's something like that.
Yeah.
They're a really hit and miss band because I think they're one of these bands that had like so many lineup changes that at certain points they were great, at certain points they were shit, and it's like it's this really upbeat, crazy kind of slightly disco-y, slightly folky.
Oh really?
Kind of summer
I always think of kind of like heavy blues in that when I think of Jethro Tull.
Yeah, and I don't know because this is the only song I've heard by them.
Oh right, okay.
And it's about like it's about I think it's a love song, but it's about like the kind of it's about I guess moths. Well, it's about moths, but it's like somehow frames them as being like desperate romantics, you know, sort of like flying into the light.
That's pretty,
lyrically, it's really good.
Oh, I'll definitely check that out, I think.
Yeah.
That's fair. I think that's fair as well. Moths are pretty frantic, aren't they?
I like moths.
Yeah. Pretty scary though, wouldn't it? Because I feel like they don't have any spatial awareness, you know?
Yeah, they don't.
So when they're flying around in your room, they're right up in your grill.
I think they go for you though, because when it's dark,
press circle before you do it again, because otherwise. Yeah.
Because when it's dark and like when I turn off the lights, they come for me. They come for my face.
They're coming straight at you.
They flap around in my face. Yeah.
So that was what's number 5? Is it 5 we're at now?
I don't know.
I think it's 5.
I don't know. There's a lot of folk.
Your list was pretty long, wasn't it?
Yeah. Some of it was like just stuff I had on YouTube, and I can't really remember. There was this one. I think it was like Siamede or Simonide or some kind of word like that. It's like a weird American funk band, but they're pretty kind of loose. It's almost like
really jammy.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of there's kind of almost folky elements to it again, but kind of more Afrobeat.
Oh, cool.
I'm
Sure, I'll have a go. Stepping in.
What else? And then there's this Brazilian bossa nova guy. I forgot what his name. It begins with J.
Yeah.
It's probably really. If I'm giving recommendations, I don't even know the name of the.
Well, they can search it, can't they?
Yeah. Got the internet.
Put some effort in, you lazy bunch.
That's good. Some really good guitar playing on that.
Okay. Yeah, fair. I'll have to check that out as well. I need to revisit the list. I barely saw 5. I think Lumpy Gravy, Zappa, some Mac demos.
Yeah. Who's that guy?
Brian Eno and Kevin Shields.
Brian Eno.
Eno. I was listening to some of him earlier. Some of it was quite cool, actually. I've not really got into him that much, but I was checking out a lot of ambient music. Yeah. And I sort of got it. That was my starting point. Yeah. And then who else? There was a Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Folsom Prison. And also, talking to jam bands, Grateful Dead. But, as always, on Record Store Day, the OG heads will get there the night before.
Oldies, yeah.
Yeah. They'll be there, camped out, just for that Grateful Dead.
There's something really capitalist about that, you know? It's like...
About camping out?
Oh no, like the record store day. Like, I mean, I know it helps record shops and a lot of them like would go out of business if it wasn't for that. But it's kind of like people spend years going, you know, I wish they would reissue these records, and they do, but they're only available for one day, and they're kind of priced like higher than they should be.
Aren't they? The whole point is though that they're priced at regular. I thought they're kind of like regular new record value, and then, but it's like a special thing so that you can keep that and it'll increase in value or just be like a nice little special.
I think that's kind of
what is annoying though is when you see people come out and they've got a whole big old bag full of records. And it's like you don't even want them. You're just selling them on eBay.
I fear that will happen. You know, that people will end up picking up stuff simply to sell it on. You know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Without actually knowing what the music is. Yeah. That's. I think I'd love to like buy more vinyl, but it's so expensive.
It is.
And I mean,
unless you're going really rooting around for those used copies, but you know, who's got time for that?
I'd really love to be in charge of some kind of communist revolution.
Oh yeah.
What I would do is I would like
make all vinyl cheap.
Yeah. It's like, I think the means of distribution of music is like really weird now.
It's a bit off.
Because
expand.
It's all kind of owned by like really rich people, you know. Like I'm talking about something I actually don't know any facts about. You know,
this is all just gut feeling. But
I remember vaguely reading an article somewhere where it's like. Oh, you know, the Spotify offices are like really nice, and they've all got new cars and like. Oh
well, I bet, yeah.
And they'll buy their plain clothes from All Saints or somewhere, and and like the musicians aren't making any money.
Well, no, yeah, that's the
and so it's essentially like all owned by people like that.
Well, what's Spotify per play? It's like 0.06p or something like that.
Yeah.
0.016 even. Something like that. Antoine Fantoine did a...
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
He did a list, didn't he? That was quite good. I think... Who was highest? Was it Tidal?
I can't remember. They were all pretty shit though compared to...
Oh, yeah, but compared to Spot... I think Tidal was several times more.
Yeah. Tidal... Who is Tidal owned by a musician? Is it like...
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember whose it is. But the trouble is, apparently, kind of going through sort of teething pains with the layout and stuff. So it's a bit, and they don't have as much music. So people that aren't mad keen on music aren't going to fork out the extra money for a less developed platform.
Yeah, and
even if it does pay people.
And the way music is distributed now, I think it's less. Like conducive to searching and really becoming passionately involved in albums.
Yeah.
You know? So like for me, some of the most impactful experiences I've had in my life have been like downloading an album onto my iPod and then just like accidentally stumbling across a song I really like and then getting tangled up in it, you know, out and about. But if most people kind of like are streaming on Spotify, I feel like it's so much more. Yeah. You know, like the next song, it's almost like listening to the radio, and you don't.
Yeah, sort of like and there are sort of playlists and that, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure about them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've found some good stuff actually though, from the sort of, you know, when you sort of finish an album and it just plays what they think you might fancy.
Yeah. I found some weird as well.
Stuff. Yeah. They must collect a fair bit of data.
Yeah. But then that whole idea of data collection and, you know, suggesting certain music to people, it puts people at a massive disadvantage. Because, you know, obviously if you...
you're less likely to find something completely different, aren't you, I suppose?
Yeah, and if you're on a major, or even if you're signed, you're gonna have like more reach, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's
and you're going to be higher up in the algorithm, whatever.
Like,
anyway.
Whereas if you or me, just chuck something on Spotify.
Yeah, it's pretty unlikely to get found. Where am I going? Yeah, I think there's got to be much more of a focus on live stuff now, isn't there, I suppose, and that's how people make money.
But I mean, I guess the other side of this whole like thing is that so much more is available. You know, like those blogs I was telling you about, and the blogs that post the download links to things like out of print albums and like stuff from other countries that aren't available here. Yeah, like some of the stuff I've found on these sites are like my favourite albums now.
Oh, really?
And I wouldn't have found out about them otherwise.
Is there any way of getting hard copies of those?
Yeah, like if you know about them, yeah, you can get the physical.
You can get it, order it in or whatever, and pay import charges on it. Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame because I think there's definitely is something more rewarding about. I don't know. Maybe there isn't about having a physical copy of something. But then I think for me, it's almost not even sound quality.
Yeah.
Because although vinyl sounds better, for example, cassettes don't, and I quite like cassettes still. Yeah. Because I just think they're a bit janky and a bit like kind of goofy. They've got quite a nice mid, but not too much of high or low end frequencies. But I think it's more just that little boy thing that's it of like wanting to collect stuff.
Yeah,
it's still like, oh yeah, I could definitely collect all of the Bruce Springsteen albums on cassette if I wanted to.
I get this feeling that when I get into a new musician, I'm like, oh, I need all of these albums. Like I must. Like it's like they're like a limited resource.
Yeah. You know? And I think with vinyl especially, because it's like you get a massive version of the cover art. You usually get something inside, like a little liner notes, tells you a bit about it. There's it's a ritual, isn't it? Putting something on.
Yeah.
Dropping the need.
Yeah, it's a different experience too. You know, it's like I find quite often
forces you to listen to the whole thing often as well.
Yeah, because often listening to a record is either the first or last thing I do. You know,
you go for a morning record.
Sometimes, yeah.
Oh, I can't say I do that. Unless it's maybe on like a Sunday morning, put on something easy.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah, I think I do like the old sit down and kind of sesh a whole thing.
Yeah,
because that's how albums should be listened to, isn't it? Really, most albums. Well, maybe not all, but some are more like playlists.
Yeah,
and mixtapes and stuff. But I don't know. That's certainly what. If I record something, that's what I have in mind, that it's like a full experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sure you're the same.
No, when I write and I don't that's the thing I struggle with. I think is like I think it should be a full body of work.
Yeah,
but I tend to write songs in
one by one.
Yeah,
but that's not a bad thing necessarily, because you can there's plenty of albums that not everything has to be a conceptual like it doesn't have to be a conceptual all linked together album for it to flow quite well and sound nice and still be I think more of a singles guy.
Yeah, but I've only released one single. I'm really bad at putting stuff out.
I'm quite I think I get bored of stuff quite easily, and once I've finished something I'm anxious to just put it out, even if it doesn't initially get a lot of interest. It's more about just getting it out there and just like making it available for people if they wanted to listen to it. It's just quite an exciting thing. It's kind of a rush,
Yeah.
But then also, I'm trying to dial it back a bit and take a bit more time. So I think probably could do a bit higher quality, I'd quite like to, even not long after releasing that last album, I wouldn't mind remastering it.
Yeah.
Already, like it's only a couple of months down the line, but I'm just like, I could have mixed this better.
Yeah.
But well, maybe in a few years, for a records store. And there you go. That's part 2 of episode 2 that conversation with Jonah. And actually, I lied. In the first part, there's going to be 3 parts. It's going to be a 3-parter, a trio, a trilogy, and you're going to have to wait until the end of the 3rd part for that recommendation list. So I've told a lie. That's the first one of the series. There you go. Can't trust anyone. I hope you enjoyed this part 2 of the episode and episode 2 as a whole so far. Come back for part 3 soon.